There we go. I want to talk this morning about the streams of life. And if you've been coming here long, you probably have figured out by now that I love metaphors. And I think they're a wonderful way to communicate the Buddha's wisdom. And the Pali Canon, the original suttas, are full of metaphors. He taught with metaphors. They've been around for some time. And it's because we now know from more modern research that metaphors, like so many stories, bypass our critical thinking. Um, they influence our deeper, more powerful and intuitive mind. They kind of go to a deeper place, and the intuitive part of the mind is that part is the seat of our decision making behavior, which works by implicit association, not by rational analysis. So metaphors aren't really about rationally figuring something out. They're about sort of bypassing that and sort of really getting into our gut. And they're a great way to generate evocative internal and hidden intimations and feelings. And I love them. In other words, they help get our head out of the way. Most of us live way too much in our heads. And when I was still in practice, doing psychotherapy, I used them all the time to sort of bypass people's defenses, which can come up in our rational minds. So let's talk about the streams of life today, and sort of take a trip through the streams of life to stay with that metaphor. And where this takes us is exploring what it means to find a home within ourselves. Amidst the currents of change, the currents of uncertainty, all the craziness and media that constantly is hitting us in the face. So if we think of life as a river, flowing steadily forward with twists and turns, rapids, calm waters, debris, no debris, all of this business that we see when we watch the river. We encounter, if we think of life that way, we encounter various experiences, people, challenges along the way, and each of these contribute to this ever-changing landscape that we call our lives. And in this dynamic flow, on the one hand, it's easy to feel swept away. It's easy to feel disconnected. It's easy to feel lost. But in this ever-changing current, in this flowing current, there is also a profound opportunity to find a home, a center within ourselves. So what does it mean to be at home with oneself? I mean, it sounds like a cliche. Um, well, from our perspective, from a Buddhist perspective, what it means is finding a home within oneself is about cultivating a deep sense of inner peace, of acceptance. There's that word, acceptance, and authenticity. It's about forging a strong connection with our true selves. Who are we really? Beyond these external layers of identity, beyond these external layers of societal expectations, which we in my field call the false self. That we talked a couple months ago about the masks we wear in our public presentation and in our interactions, superficial interactions with others. This false self is made up of the mask we wear to hide the parts of ourselves that we find unacceptable or defective, or we don't want to acknowledge. We certainly don't want anyone else to see. It's about finding solace and comfort and acceptance in our own company. In other words, to use another metaphor, becoming comfortable in our own skin. By embracing our strengths, but also our flaws and our vulnerabilities. And that's really a critical piece of this, with compassion and understanding. That's the key. So how do we navigate the streams of life and arrive at this place of inner acceptance and connection, this place of our true self? Well, first, it requires a willingness to look there, a willingness to embark on this internal journey. A journey that I like to call self-discovery and self-awareness, using the tools of the Dharma, using the tools that the Buddha taught. In other words, exploring the depths of our hearts and minds, not just the surface. And part of this, and this is why it is so difficult and challenging, because it involves uncovering not only our deepest desires, but our fears and our beliefs and our distorted thinking, and facing them head on. In other words, confronting the parts of ourselves that we have either long ignored or suppressed, we haven't wanted to look at, we wanted to disavow, and embracing those parts with compassion, with acceptance, with open arms. So that's the first challenge of sort of going with the flow of life, going with the streams of life. Secondly, being at home with ourselves means practicing self-compassion. We talked about this on Saturday, and engaging in self-care. Just as we would nurture a sanctuary for ourselves physically, getting out of the rain, getting out of the storms, we have to create a nurturing environment for our emotional and mental well-being. There again is the need for acceptance and embracing all parts of ourselves. And sometimes this involves, and we've talked about this a lot, setting clear boundaries with others. We have to protect ourselves. We want to be open and loving, but we also have to be self-protective. We can't let toxicity and other people who are toxic disrupt that. And so that means prioritizing our needs and engaging in activities and engaging with others who nourish our souls. We do this through our meditation practice. We do this by studying and understanding the Dharma. We do this by journaling, many of us. We do this by spending time in nature. I mean, there's a whole range of options here, and we all have our own preferences and our own priorities. For me, as I often say, it's time in nature is so critical. And it's being at home with ourselves, which means cultivating a mindset of acceptance and resilience in the face of life's uncertainties. We know that none of us like uncertainty. None of us like knowing not knowing what's going to happen. But we learn to accept and be resilient in the face of that uncertainty, whatever comes down the river. And part of that is recognizing that change is inevitable, even if we don't like it. And we learn to adapt gracefully to the ebb and flow of that existence, of the ever-changing nature of our life experience. We never know what's coming. I mean, we generally do, but we can always get surprised, always get blindsided. And this comes down to something I say all the time, which is accepting things as they are, not as we want them to be, not clinging to ideas that I want it to be this way when it clearly isn't. It's not going to be, and I suffer because I don't let go and accept things as they are. So rather than resisting the currents of change, to stay with our river metaphor, we choose to flow with them. We go with them. We trust in our inner wisdom that we have cultivated through this practice to guide us along the way, to help us encounter these challenges. This is where equanimity practice comes in. We don't get knocked off center by these changes. And last, but certainly not least, let me say that finding a home within ourselves in this ever-changing stream of life is an ongoing process. It never ends. It ends when we end. It's a journey, not a destination. It is never finished. We don't just do it for a little while and then rest on our laurels. It's a daily moment-to-moment practice, which is why our mindfulness and our present moment awareness is so important, because the job is never finished. And this requires great patience, great dedication, and a commitment every day to walk this path. But it also involves tremendous courage, because it's not always easy. It's not always fun. It's not always pleasant. It can be very challenging and times very painful. But as we walk it in the process, we have moments of clarity, but we also have moments of confusion, like, what the heck is going on here? I just got to be with it. I don't know. I got to see how it all shakes out. But it also involves moments of great joy, but also moments of great sorrow. I mean, this is the paradox of this life. But we welcome and accept it all. We don't push it away if it's unpleasant, and we don't cling to it if it feels good. We are just showing up for it. And through it all, we take solace in the knowledge that our true home resides inside. It resides in here, not in my possessions, not in my accomplishments, not in my accolades, not in my ego's needs, but right here inside. That's where my true home is. So as we navigate the streams of life, we need to remember that our greatest sanctuary is the one within ourselves. That's our rock. That's our anchor. That's where we put our flag in the ground. Because by embracing our true essence and learning to be home with ourselves, using the tools that the Buddha offered, that's how we unlock the key to lasting peace, lasting fulfillment, and lasting happiness, despite the storms and challenges of life, because it gives us ability to flow with that stream of life. So let me leave it there. And